All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about TableRow as another layout type. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go to our layout here. I'm going to say new. I'm going to say layout resource file, and we're going to call this table layout. And the root element, let's say relative layout, because that's the one that we prefer. There we go. Now we have our view, designed view here very nicely. Okay, we have relative layout. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let's go back to open our text here and align things so they look decently fine. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we are going to add a table layout. Well, what we can do, let's go back to our relative here. Let's find table layout here. That's table layout. So as you can see, our table layout, there's two things. There's table layout and there's also a table row. So now you would imagine that if we are using a table layout, we will need to use a table row to supplement it inside. Okay, so table row is part of table layout, but you have to include it. So the table layout is just a layout that we can add a table row. In fact, we should add a table row because that wouldn't make any sense if we didn't. All right. Okay. So we're going to drag this table layout inside our layout, relative layout there. And you notice right away we have our table layout there. And it even added a few table rows to start with. Okay, let's go back here and you can see we have a few table rows inside of our table layout. Let's give a background to our table layout here. Say background, give it color. Let's give the color that we've been given here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a few of these. We just need one for now. So we have a table row. So a row, the table row is essentially allows us to organize items in a row. Okay. Now, what if we want to add items inside of our table row? What we're going to do, we can actually change this to something different. We are actually going to go and do this like that, so that we are going to add items inside of this row. That's where we are going to put items. So let's go ahead and put a text view. Okay, in this text view, we're going to start constructing it. Let's give a text that says first name. Okay, and then let's go give it a width layout to be wrap content, with let's say height layout to be also wrap content. Okay, go save this and look what's going to happen, and look at that, we have that. Now I don't like this color that we added because now it merges with everything. Let's change this color here to something. In fact, let's just keep it white. Why not? Okay, there we go. There you go, the first name. Now let's go ahead and give the color to the row here. That way we can actually start seeing the difference. Say background, give a color of, how about dark? Let's see what's gonna look like. There we go. Let's change the text color here because we need to make sure that we can see. Let's go and give a color accent. Why not? That's what we have right now. There we go. There we go. There we go. That looks good. Now, what if we wanted to give it a little padding to make sure that it looks better? Okay, let's padding because everything is to the left and top. Let's just give it a general padding. How would we do that? We go back to our text here. Now, if we want to give a general padding to the entire table view, of course, we're going to go to the table view node here, and then we're going to just say padding. Now notice we can give a top, left, bottom padding. Now if you just say padding, it's going to give a general padding. Okay. Now we're just going to give a 15 dB padding. If you go back, you see now we have a general padding of the entire row. Now if we want the inside of this row, we need to also go inside of our table row and give a padding that way. We can say padding here. Let's say give 12 dp. If you save, now look at that. It looks really nice, right? So we have this nice looking row. So now that we have this row, let's add another text view inside of this row. Now remember, this is a row, which means things will be stacked to the left and right. Okay, it's gonna be last name. That's same accent color. That's good. Look at that. Now we have a problem here because we have an issue where everything is to the left. So we need to give a little padding here so we can differentiate first from last name. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we can go ahead here in our second text view. We can go ahead and say left padding. So padding left, we can just give it 10 dp. Save this and run, and you can see that. And the last one we can add here. So we can add as many as we want, but we're just gonna add 3. So let's copy this, and this one is going to be age. And everything is good. And we look, and there we go. How about giving more padding? That way we have a better looking. Let's give it 20. How about 20 dp? All right, that started looking very good. So now we have our table row here, which is inside our table layout, which is inside of our relative layout. Okay, and of course we can add more rows into our table layout. How would we do that? Well, we could simply go here, see this table row here. We can copy this entire table row, and let's put here comment. This is how you do to add a comment inside of our XML file. You put less than exclamation mark dash dash, and then you finalize like that. So here we can say second row, and you paste that. And what we can do, let's go ahead and change to add the actual values. We can go ahead and say, for instance, name is Bonnie, last name is Kelly, and age, let's say 25, forever 25. Now we have a really nice user interface of our table layout here, which contains all those table rows. Okay, that's very cool. And you can see the usability, or when could you use the table rows in many cases. I usually use table rows to when I want to make sure that all of the items that I am aligning are on the same row, for instance, right? Here I gave you an example of text view, but you could have added any other widget inside there if you want them to be aligned in a row. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do. And the thing about table rows or table layout is that they really organize your items in a very nice, predictable way on the screen. Okay, as you can see here, if we wanted to give a little space from the top here, we can say give it a margin, say margin layout, margin top here. You can give it 12 dp, for instance. And you can see there is a margin added. Okay, and we can keep going and having as many table rows as we need. And as you can see, things are very nicely organized. Okay, perfect. I'll see you next.